Hi all, thought I'd give you a little video update. It's been a while. Last thing I showed you was the Ford Escort that I managed to pick up in a charity shop, but really the project that I should be looking at is the Monster Beetle. So obviously this is kind of my runner monster truck, and I think I've kind of told you before, I've got a big problem with how it's sitting. I'm going to take the body shell off and just show you precisely what the issue is and why it needs to be fixed. Okay, so with the shell off you can see a bit more what the problem is. You can see just here where this mount has actually totally sheared off, and I did try gluing it, but it's really not strong when you roll the Beetle, and that happens a fair amount with these when you throw them around. And so there it is on the other side, hanging on. So the result of that is actually that red bit forms the whole part of the chassis. That means to fix this, I need to take the whole thing apart and fit a replacement part. So I'm going to go ahead now and just show you a few other odds and ends that I got. Seeing this car was put together probably in the mid-90s, so it's knocking on 25 years old. I want to do a full strip down rebuild, bit of an inventory of all the parts, the screws, bearing in mind maybe I didn't even put it together properly. I want to service the shocks, check the ball bearings, all things like that, do a proper job. I've kind of been delaying it because I don't want to get to a point where I take it apart and then don't have time to put it back together again, but I'm really hoping that doesn't get to be the case. Right, so let me show you what I'm going to do as part of the project. So the first thing and most necessary thing is to repair the chassis. So here is a whole new bag of what are called the A parts. So these parts here in the instruction manual, I managed to pick those up on eBay. That will be a replacement for the chassis. I could just do a straight swap out and leave it at that, but there are a couple other things that I'm going to do as well. This particular part here that you can kind of see, it's a bit of it's a body strut brace. There you go, it's on the G parts, and what it does is it runs across like this to kind of keep everything secure. You'll see this one's actually snapped, so I went ahead and I've got a proper machined part. This is made of aluminium, not plastic, so it should be a lot safer or stronger even, and hopefully that's going to help to hold everything together a bit more. I also went ahead and did a bit of research and bought some new oil to service the shocks. I believe this is the same as the Tamiya oil that comes in most of the kits. I think it's kind of medium or so. I did remember what all the different measurements were, but this was a lot cheaper than a Tamiya branded bottle, so I just thought I'd give it a go and see how I got on with it. And the final thing I'm going to do was a recommendation from the model shop that I got all the stuff from the Plasma Edge for. This is to upgrade well, they're called the universal shafts. I suppose I would kind of call it the axle. Now on the Monster Beetle you can see the gearbox is high and then it comes down on an angle to be a bit lower. And the problem I told is the original release Monster Beetles had these kind of half shafts, and they're kind of hexagons and they fit into each side of these. So this goes in the gearbox and this comes out the other side, linked together by these hexagons, which over time I understand wear away, so they become, and the hexagon makes them lock, but as they wear away to become more like circles, then they slip and you don't get such good drive. So that's the last thing I got for the hop-up kind of options and the changes I'm going to make to the Beetle. The final thing I got, these were dirt cheap, were a few kind of compartment boxes, again just off eBay, really for all the screws and the nuts and the bolts, and you can kind of you can take bits out to make holders for longer screws, things like that. I just went ahead and picked up 3 in a pack, just because I thought it might be useful as I take everything apart. So there we go, that's the plan. and I think I'm just going to try and get started on that over the next week or so, and I'll keep you guys updated on what's going on.